Hey you guys, it's Peter, and I'm back. Of course I'm back. I'm not going anywhere. Beast. Peekaboo. I see you because I'm YouTube. What? Famous now. Available in 2022 through 8000 BC. The album. Only by KTEL. Dad. AF. Rock on. Gold Dust. I had a moment there where I was kind of looking up and I thought, I feel like Frank Sinatra. Woman! Beast! How are you guys doing today? Oh man, I got some drama to talk about today. But before I do, I want to give a very special thank you, shout out to AdamandEve.com for sponsoring another video on my channel. You guys, you know that I love AdamandEve.com, and you guys have been so amazing for using my code to order things over there. My code Peter, gets you 50% off your first item plus free shipping and handling in the United States and Canada. And with that, they also have 24-hour free customer service. So you can call them up at any time of day or night and say, hey, Adam, I'd like to talk to Eve. I have some questions about what I got. Everything comes to you in the mail, completely anonymously, so your neighbors, your mailman, nobody knows what it is that you ordered. If you get it in the mail and you look at your lingerie or the game or book or toy or whatever you bought and you realize, hey, this isn't something that I want, or it doesn't fit, or it's the wrong size, then you just send it back. 90-day hassle-free policy. You just send it back, okay? And if you watch my Peterisms videos or my vlogs, you know I talk a lot about my husband and I going to marriage counseling and the 12 points of intimacy and all that kind of stuff. And one of those points of intimacy is building your physical intimacy. And, you know, my husband and I sitting down and going through this website was really, really fun for us. And we've shared that with friends of ours that are couples. And they go home and they're like, oh my God, we did the same thing. And we sat down and we ordered something that was really fun to get in the mail. And, you know, let us try something new and all that kind of stuff. So I've had so many couples reach out to me. And I just want to say thank you by saying that they used my code and that they ordered something. I've also had a lot of single people reach out to me and say, thank you for your code, Peter. And my code was used for a while in a Facebook group, which they had like posted over there, which I loved. So please, 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 please use my Adam and Eve code. It makes me happy, it makes you happy, and it makes Adam and Eve happy. And if you do, reach out and let me know. You don't have to tell me, you know, what you got, but I try to respond to everybody that uses that code because I just really appreciate it. So anyway, thank you so much for that. All right, now let's get into the drama. And today's drama is about Trisha Paytas, okay? So this is something that I kind of speculated about, and I didn't really know what was going on, but between Trisha Paytas selling replicas of their Hawaii wedding and selling this $89,000 Birkin, live streaming all the time. If you go over to Trisha Paytas' channel, she is live streaming a lot, and the reason why I add this to this list is because when she's live streaming, I mean, she is getting super chat after super chat after super chat. I mean, people give her a lot of money, which is very kind, right? And she's very appreciative of it. She thanks them all and all that. So she's making a lot of money in these live streams on top of these videos that she's trying to troll to get attention for. Unfortunately, it's not really helping her that much because she's not getting a lot of views off of these videos, these ridiculous spiritual videos. I think this is the thing that Trisha Paytas doesn't really understand, is if, you know, Trisha even refers to the spiritual thing at one point, and I kind of was like, I was sitting here watching this live stream, and I was like, seriously, Trisha? But I think what Trisha doesn't really realize is that when she's in a live stream and she's talking about like my Hawaii wedding versus my LA wedding, because that's what the live stream was that we're going to talk about, and she's talking about that, and she's talking about wishing that she had skipped her LA wedding because it put them into debt, which we're going to talk about. That's the big story here. And she's talking about this, and she's talking about the invitations and how they were made, and she wished that she hadn't spent a lot of money on the invitations. And she's talking about all this stuff, right? I think the thing that Trisha Paytas doesn't understand is that there are a lot of people that are interested in that. Like, the true fans are really interested in that. That sit-down Trisha, just sitting there, I guess I'm not a vegan anymore, eating fried shrimp. Did she ever come out and say, I've decided I don't want to be a vegan anymore? Did I miss that 5 minutes of a live stream of one of her 400 live streams? I guess, because I didn't realize, this is the one thing, well, we're going to get to that in a second, the veganism thing, but, so anyway, I think that that's the part that people really relate to. That's the part of Trisha that they really, really like. In fact, I've had so many ex-Trisha fans come to me on Twitter and DM me or comment on the comment sections of my videos or email me and say, you're so right about what you say about ex-Trisha fans, that I really, really liked Trisha about her relatability factor. You know, and when she would sit down and do my hauls and my favorite things, and she bought all these glamorous things, and I really loved, you know, when she would do like what's in my purse videos or, you know, whatever, just being out. But now that she's gone into this, every video is a trolling video, they're like, I can't stick with that anymore. And they're like, you know, I wish Trisha would, you know, really listen to what you guys are saying as far as drama channels, that this has gone too far, because she's going to lose everybody and she's lost me, and it's really sad. And it is really sad, because there are a lot of people out there that really enjoy Trisha Paytas, right? You know, in fact, Trisha Paytas was talking about how in tomorrow's live stream, because there's going to be a live stream tomorrow apparently, she's going to be addressing like her desire to have children and fertility treatments and all that kind of stuff. And I thought, you know, for a lot of people, that whole journey is really, really, really interesting. But you can't mix, like, that's something people take very, very seriously. You can't mix trolling into all of that. And I don't think she will. But I think the problem is that people will get confused, and they'll be like, well, I don't know. Is this trolling? Is this not trolling? And that's a journey, you know. If Trisha were to come out, like I said, and do in a video, you know, say, hey, you guys, like, listen, like, a lot of the things I've said were highly inappropriate, and, like, I crossed lines left and right, and I don't want to be that person anymore. I want to do my channel and do what I used to do over here, and, you know, way back in the day, and I want to show my relationship with me and Moses, and I want to show my, you know, attempting to get pregnant and, you know, have kids and our family and the building of our family. There are a lot of people out there that would watch that. I mean, I don't think, and this is the thing that I don't think Trisha understands, is I've said this about other YouTubers, right, is that you have to take your audience with you. Well, much of Trisha's audience has grown up with Trisha, right? And so they're interested in that grown-up, maturing, if she is, you know, wanting to be a family Trisha, right? And so, because there was something that was very telling in this live stream. She was talking about one of the things that made her happiest about her Hawaii wedding was that her mom and dad were, I think it was the Hawaii wedding she was talking about, where her mom and dad were there together, and that they're hardly ever together because her dad is remarried and yada, 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 and all this kind of stuff. And, like, I really related to that. And, you know, that's why I take marriage so seriously, like, you know, and that my marriage with my husband is so serious, because my parent, I just saw, you know, the marriage between my parents just dissolve right in front of my face when I was a little kid, and I saw a bit of sadness with Trisha when I was watching that part, and I was like, okay, this is why this is so important to her. If she did videos talking about that, if she did videos where she could be authentic and genuine, she would win back much of her audience and people would follow her again. But I think she's too afraid. I think she's too afraid, like, if I'm not the trolling Trisha, then who am I, right? So let's get into what she said. First of all, this live stream was called, hold on a second, Destination Wedding versus Local Wedding, Cost, Stress, etc. I did both, okay? And, you know, she gets a snack and she's eating fried shrimp, and I'm sitting there and I'm watching it, and I'm like, girl, are you not a vegan anymore? And this is the thing that's interesting to me about Trisha Paytas, right? Is that she always comes out and does these videos saying, like, I'm now a vegan, or I've been a vegan for 3 days, or, you know, like, our vegan garden, or whatever, you know, or, you know, I'm now practicing magic, and, you know, creates all these lies knowing that they're lies, right? And she comes out and she says the new things, like, this is the new thing, right? Like, I'm now Wiccan, and I'm now practicing magic, and I'm vegan, and I'm this, and I'm that, right? But she never comes out and says when she's gone back to the old way. And it's very calculated in Trisha's defense, because if she never answers about going back, then she never has to address when she does it again, right? So, like, she doesn't come out and say, well, I'm no longer a vegan, you know, like, I tried it, I don't know. I think in one live stream, I saw her say something about, I don't know, I tried it, you know, maybe I'll do it again someday or something like that. And listen, folks, I have tried to keep up with these live streams, but there's a lot, okay? So there's that. She says in there, they ask her if she regrets the LA wedding, okay? And she said that it put them into debt, okay? And she said she regrets the invites. Go cheap on the invites. And she had these snow globe invites that had the people's pictures in it and had the name on it and everything like that. And she thought people would keep these invites, and not that they just, like, hurl it in the trash, you know, after the wedding was over. And you know what's so funny about that when I was, like, watching that is, I was like, oh, Trisha, You're sweet, honey. But, you know, like, the thing is like, when you're younger, I don't know, like, I used to keep everything, you know? I kept every movie stub, ticket stub. I kept everything in shoe boxes, you know? Like, this was boyfriend number 1, and these are all the... Listen, when boyfriend number 1 was out the door and boyfriend number 2 was in, that box was gone. You know what I mean? And, but, like, I used to keep all that stuff. I don't keep that stuff anymore. You know what I mean? I just don't. I don't need 900 Christmas cards, you know what I mean? Like, when my mom passed away, I mean, like, she had kept every Christmas card for literally the last 30 years, and I'm like, did you ever just take these out of the bag and, like, look at them? Like, why were you keeping all these Christmas cards through the year? So, anyway, but I understand that she did this very special invitation, and I'm trying to be really fair to Trisha today. Can you tell? I'm trying to be, although it's ridiculous, all of it. Okay, so she's getting these constant super chats while you're watching this, right? So they go in and they ask her, do you regret the LA wedding, right? And so she goes in to talk first about how the LA wedding was 30 times the cost of the Hawaii wedding, okay? And I'm sitting there and I'm figuring out, okay, so if you paid, I mean, I'm assuming that the majority of the people she paid to go to the LA wedding, or she paid for the dinner or whatever, at the Four Seasons for a week in Hawaii, I mean, what is that? I mean... Just for even just her and Moses, I would have to think a week at the Four Seasons in Maui and a suite. I'm just pulling this out of my head. Flying first class, okay? You're talking 20, 30 grand, something like that. So she goes on to say, I mean, so she's talking about how her LA wedding now is close to $1 million. You guys, if you think that that's not the right level of cost, I mean, I could go in and do all that. But I'm telling you, to fly from LA to Hawaii first class is probably $5 grand. To stay in a suite at the Four Seasons for a week, just the two of them, over New Year's Eve, I mean, it's probably 20 grand, plus the wedding on the beach on top of that is probably another 20 grand, if not more, at the Four Seasons. Maybe 50 grand. I mean, it could be a $50,000 or $70,000 trip, maybe more than that, you know? Plus if they, you know, pay for the cost of their friends. So is she saying now that this LA wedding was upwards of $1 million? I thought people were saying it was closer to 300,000. Maybe she's saying that it's upwards of $1 million. Who knows? She said that she loved the LA wedding. She said, but like not a lot went according to plan, that 30% went according to plan. She said, I don't regret it. That's why we planned it, okay? Now, this is very important. She said, I didn't regret it, because that's why we planned it, was to do this LA wedding, and she talked about all the positives, and that she got to be in a room with all of her friends and family and stuff like that, but that Hawaii was more intimate. Now, this is the part that's important. She says, I don't regret it, that's why we planned it, okay? They directly asked her, do you regret doing it? But then, literally about 3 minutes later, she says, they asked if you could go back and skip the LA wedding. And she said, if you could go back and skip the LA wedding, would you? On the heels of saying she didn't regret the LA wedding. And she said, yes. Yeah, because it put us in some debt, I'm not gonna lie. We were kind of stuck because we got budgets all within a couple of weeks before, so we were stuck. I'm trying to let the past be the past. The videos and the memories are great, but the financial part hurt, yeah. So basically what Trisha Paytas is saying, and this is very, very interesting to me, okay, is that this wedding that she had, well, let's just say between $500 and $1 million, okay? This wedding that she had, that she didn't plan until the very last minute, which I talked about on here for a very long time, when people were like, oh no, Trisha planned this wedding out a year ago. Here it is, Trisha Paytas coming out and saying she only planned it weeks ahead. Well, when you're going to plan a wedding out weeks ahead, I don't know why you would be in such a rush to plan things I'll let you guys, you know, come up with that idea in the comment section below. But when you plan things a few weeks before your wedding, and you're coming together with all these invitations, and you're doing this rush job of all this stuff, of course it's going to be super expensive. Of course it is. You know what I mean? So anyway... but here's my question, all right, to all of those people out there that were like, when I said that Trisha Paytas is going broke because she's selling Birkins and she's selling replicas of her rings and she's doing all these live streams and she's doing all, people are like, Trisha Paytas, she is not going broke. How could you? Oh, what a reach that is. Shane Dawson, Jeffree Star, collab palette is a cash grab. A cash grab? Oh, Peter Monn. Shane Dawson loves makeup. Don't you know that? He has a whole room dedicated to makeup. Shane Dawson loves makeup. How dare you say it's a cash grab? I am unsubscribing to you. That is not a cash grab. 2 years later, Shane Dawson, Jeffree Star, cash grab. Where's my apologies? Thanks a lot, society. Ladder climbs, re-election. No, nobody ever comes back and says, well, I guess you were kind of a little bit right. Okay, I'm sorry that I was so hard and said I was going to unsubscribe from you. But anyway, here's the deal to me, right? Trisha Paytas had a $500,000 to $1 million wedding, okay? Other people are speculating, Ethan Klein has speculated, that Trisha Paytas and Moses are going broke, right? Here's my question. If Trisha Paytas is worth that much, right? Like, she's worth $5 to $10 million, which in the real grand scheme of things is, I mean, that sounds to all, hey, listen, I'll take 5,000 on the lottery, you know what I mean? But to those kind of entertainers that are living in these massive houses, you know, in Los Angeles and surrounding area, and they travel all the time, and they have high expensive, you know, high-end handbags, and they're doing all this kind of stuff. You know, listen, $5 to $10 million isn't going to last you the rest of your life. It's not going to last you 5 years, probably, right? So if Trisha Paytas is in debt from a $500,000 to $1 million wedding, she really is going broke. I mean, that is a real problem, you know? And then you add to it, like, let's have real talk here for a second, okay? Her videos are not getting the views that they used to get. At all. I mean, nobody's really are on YouTube. I think it's a mix between TikTok and Netflix and all the streaming services. You know, I was talking the other day to a friend of mine, and she was like, what streaming service? I said, girl, we got cable and every streaming service out there in the world that you could want. You know, I just don't think people are watching YouTube as much as they used to back in the day, right? So Trisha Paytas isn't making as much money off of YouTube, but she always said that the AdSense, it's like her and Jeffree Star both said, the AdSense, we don't make money off that, right? Trisha Paytas isn't doing as many sponsorships as she used to do, right? And on top of that, you know, Trisha Paytas, her merch must do very, very well. I mean, she talks about her merch a lot, and people buy, I see pictures of her merch a lot, so maybe her merch does really well. I think people don't realize you can make more money off of merch than some people, I think. But I do think that Trisha Paytas, like, was bankrolling on OnlyFans for a very long time, and I heard some speculation, and I could be wrong, that Moses doesn't want Trisha doing certain things on OnlyFans. So if that is true, put that in the comment section below, because I don't know anything about that. If there's a place for me to go look and find that, I don't know, you know? And so, if that's the case, then Trisha's OnlyFans would be hurting too, and it's like, okay, well, all of my sources of income are kind of down, and here I'm still living the same way that I'm living. I mean, at some point, we're going to see a downsizing of Trisha Paytas, probably in the next 6 months to a year. I think we'll see them sell this house and go somewhere smaller, you know, because I think that I think at some point Trisha's going to be like, okay, how can I continue to live happily doing what I want to do, and at this level, well, maybe that house isn't, you know, the one, I don't know. So anyway, like she said, yeah, because she wishes she would have skipped the LA wedding. Now, what's interesting to me about this is that you say you don't regret the LA wedding, but you wish that you had skipped the LA wedding. Isn't that basically the same thing? I'm confused about that. I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm splitting hairs, but okay. Somebody said, yeah, because it put us in some debt. I'm not going to lie. We were kind of stuck because we got budgets all within a couple of weeks before, so we were stuck. I'm trying to let the past be the past. The videos and memories are great, but the financial part hurt, yeah. And this is why now I believe that the week of the wedding, Trisha Paytas was massively posting videos. It has to be because of that. Because I think Trisha Paytas wanted to go into the new year with everything paid for. So they do, this one part, Trisha Paytas is talking about the Hawaii wedding and the Four Seasons, and that they wish that they had stayed somewhere else because there was construction going on there and whatever, but she didn't want to go somewhere like where there were a lot of kids and whatever. And so somebody asked her, like, if you don't like kids, why do you want to have kids? And she said, she likes kids, obviously, and she wants to have kids. And this is the question for me. Like, you know, as a 49-year-old man who has been married for 10 plus years and together with my husband for 13 years, you know, the question for me is, who we deliberately chose that we didn't want to have, you know, kids in our life. And I have several of my friends that have chosen not to have kids and several of my friends that have chosen to have kids and things like that. I mean, it's a huge commitment. And when people ask me, they're like, so you and Alex didn't want kids? I said, well, he always knew that he didn't. But for me, if I were going to, the kind of parent that I would be is the kind of parent that lives in a neighborhood where my kids could interact with other kids and have friends, right? Where they could be part of athletics and arts programs, and they could be in a school system that they would enjoy, whether that was private or public. I would be the parent that didn't drive around and vlog late at night and go get fountain pops with my friends, you know. I would be at home, you know, reading to my, you know what I'm saying? Like, that would be the parent that I would be. I would be very involved in all of that. And it just kind of concerns me sometimes that people, and I'm not saying this about Trisha Paytas, I'm just saying in general, you know, that people are just like, yeah, I want a kid. Well, do you know what goes along with that? I mean, do you realize, and then when they were like, oh, 18 years, I'm like, oh, no. You're a parent of a child long after 18 years. I mean, sometimes 25 and 30. You know, I have friends of mine that are older than mine, and that their kids are 35 still living with them at home, okay? Because they're like, I don't know what to do with this situation. So, you know, to just this idea of I just want kids, but to not really think through why you want kids, like, I would have to believe that Trisha Paytas' life would have to change on many different levels if, you know, I don't know. So anyway, but I do think that if she's going to document that journey on YouTube, which she has indicated that she is going to, if she's going to do that, I think that is an interesting way for her to go forward on YouTube, but she's going to have to stop with the trolling. I mean, she's not going to be able to do both. I mean, she really isn't. It's not going to work to her advantage. She talks about, again, about the invites being ridiculously expensive. She talks about loving both of her dresses. And then this was interesting. She goes in to talk about, somebody said something to her about the comparison between her and Anna Nicole Smith. And she talks about, and it was interesting to me because I have to tell you, I was a huge fan of Anna Nicole Smith. You know, Trisha Paytas talked about loving her when she was a teenager and all this kind of stuff. I mean, I remember seeing the very first guest ads with Anna Nicole Smith. I remember seeing her on Johnny Carson. I remember Anna Nicole Smith before she was the Anna Nicole Smith that everybody remembers, you know? I mean, she was this pop icon that was like, at that time, like, I can remember it being like this huge deal, right? And just gorgeous and fantastic. And then went on to have the Anna Nicole, you know, Anna Nicole show. It was tragic what happened to her and her son. Tragic, okay? And so Trisha Paytas goes on to compare herself to Anna Nicole. And I'm sitting here watching this, I'm like, is this for real? And she talks about how Anna Nicole was a punching bag. And I do believe that, okay? And that people made fun of her for being on drugs and whatever. Anna Nicole Smith was on drugs. Like, that's what, like, ended her life. I mean, this is a very serious topic, you know? And she's like, oh, you know, these talk shows and stuff were so cruel to Anna Nicole Smith and all this kind of stuff. And then she says, basically, that Trisha Paytas is the same and that people are, she's a punching bag for other people. And she also said that it's like, you know, really hard for her, especially when it comes to her spiritual beliefs, especially when you're doing magic. And I thought, oh, girl. Oh, God. Okay, so now you compared yourself to the life and the turmoil of a dead woman, okay, who had this tragic ending. And you're comparing her being beat up in society by all of this based on the fact that you are choosing to do all of this hocus pocus, which is totally what it is, because we know you don't believe this, okay? We know you don't believe this, which let me prove to you. Then she comes out and she goes, oh, speaking of witchcraft, let me show you my new purse I bought. Here you go. Here's her new purse she bought. I think it'll probably be over there. Okay, and yet again, here's the cosplay. Yet again, here is the let me put on a costume for you. Just like somebody yesterday on my video said, you know, this isn't Party City, Trisha. Okay, every different religious belief that you have, it isn't Party City. You don't just dress up in costume and then all of a sudden you've become that, you know? I don't know. You know, watching this is interesting to me because Trisha Paytas coming out, I actually think it was very honest of her to come out and say the wedding put us into debt. Trisha Paytas always acts like everything is fine. You know, everything is financially is fine. I'm doing great. Don't worry about it. The AdSense, who'd care about that AdSense? Trisha Paytas coming out in a live stream and basically saying we went into debt, you know, I mean, from this wedding, you know, and I wish I would have skipped the LA wedding. I mean, that wedding must have put them in some debt. But how close are you? Like, here's the thing, right? That I mean, she must be close to broke. Because if one wedding that you've been planning for, and you supposedly are so wealthy, your fans believe that you're so wealthy, that one wedding, even with the budgets, okay, whatever they are, I mean, if you go into something and somebody's like, okay, well, each setting is going to be this, and you go, well, we'll do this, whatever. Okay, so then maybe you cancel the wedding before, I mean, did you put the invitations out before you had even planned the wedding? Like, it just doesn't sound like a lot of, like, smart thinking. So if you are literally, like, you have $800,000 in the bank, and your wedding cost $1 million, so people are under the assumption that you are so wealthy that you don't have, or is Trisha Paytas living beyond her means, you know? I don't know. I think if that's the case and she's really close to being that broke, I would have to think, you know, Trisha, like, you might want to rethink everything that you're doing right now. And like I said, if it were me and Trisha Paytas called me up and said, hey, give me some really good advice, I mean, in all honesty, okay, what I would say to her is, quit the trolling. Show your real life, you know? Become a family vlogger to some degree. I think people would enjoy that. You know, you can troll a little bit from here to there. Do the Lady Gaga singing, you know, in the kitchen with the hat on and all that kind of stuff. But leave the rest of it in the past, you know? I think people would really be more interested in that. And do I think it would be a turnover? Do I think that her views would go like this and then they would, you know, yes, but I think that they would grow over some time. You know, let me give you an example. So many people are like, I want you to talk about other people, I want you to talk about other people, I want you to talk about other people, right? So I do videos on other people. Like, for example, yesterday I did this video, and I really enjoyed doing this video on Jamie Lynn Spears, okay? And so that video in 24 hours is currently sitting at 12,000 views on my end of what I can see, okay? I think on your end it's sitting at 11,000 views. So anyway, I mean, not great views for back in the day over here, right? And whenever I do like a celebrity pop culture video, it gets about those same amount of views. And I was talking to a friend of mine about it, and my friend said, you know, but Peter, so many people want you to do pop culture videos. Like, over time, those views will build, but you have to give it time. And I totally agree with that, which is why I'm going to start doing more pop culture videos over here, because that's something that I really do enjoy, and I think other people enjoy as well, right? And it's like, at some point, you know, you have to kind of listen to what other people are saying for your channel. And I do think that Trisha would take, you know, it would hurt her channel at first, but I think that over time, I think her channel would grow. I think people would really want to see this authenticity and this genuineness of this growing person, you know? So anyway, let me know what you think in the comment section below. I love you guys, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.